Our society pays a lot of attention to how we eat, how we exercise, and how much physical rest we get. Unfortunately, there's much less awareness of what we take in and consume mentally and emotionally. Just as what we take into our bodies has a large impact on us, so does what we take into our minds. In that same way, the physical rest makes a difference in how our bodies feel and function. Making sure you have some time to rest mentally can be essential to your recovery. We are stronger against addiction when we are functioning with a healthy amount of mental exercise and rest. When we are mentally and emotionally worn out, we are more likely to give in to an urge. Remember the big three we explored when we talked about living a healthy life? Sleep, exercise, and diet? We will apply those same principles to our mental well-being. We call them mental rest, mental exercise, and mental diet. Like the food we take into our bodies, the ideas, information, and images we take into our minds help shape who we are, how we feel, and what we do. When we allow harmful messages or images to invade our minds, it affects our brain and our life as a whole. But we don't have to tell you that. I mean, you've felt the effects of harmful media in your life. You've seen it transform your perceptions for the worse and influence the way you behave. You've become dependent on this kind of media. And because you enjoyed this mental junk food, it has likely pushed you to isolate yourself from interactions with others. On the other hand, media that is inspiring or educational is a mentally nutritious diet that nourishes and energizes you. This kind of media teaches you something or motivates and encourages you to do things that make your life more fulfilling. This kind of learning provides support for your mental and emotional well-being. A good way to start improving your mental fitness is just to start to pay attention to how different kinds of media you consume influence you personally. Remember, when you fill your life and mind with the good stuff, there will eventually be no place for the junk. Not only is it important to focus on what media we consume, it is also important to regulate how much we consume. More and more people are taking their media consumption to an extreme, filling every free moment possible with some kind of entertainment or another. And those who suffer from pornography addiction are particularly vulnerable. Many people facing pornography addiction also struggle with an overall obsession with media. Do you find yourself always needing to have some kind of media stimulation? Pornography aside, we can become hooked on media stimulation, sacrificing our schoolwork and relationships in the pursuit of getting a media buzz. Here are some signs that you need to adjust your media diet. You woke up this morning with a cell phone clutched to your hand. You interrupt a night with a good friend to update your Facebook status. You prefer texting to human interaction. You tune out of a conversation to quickly check your email. You feel completely lost without your phone or gadget. The TV has to be on when you're at home for you to feel comfortable. You can't hang out with others without watching a movie or playing video games. You check out status updates while you're sitting at a red light. You text while driving. You texted your mom to pass the potatoes at dinner. Well, let's hope none of us are guilty of that last one. Media overload is becoming more and more common and has been associated with a host of problems, including attention difficulties, low grades, impaired sleep, obesity, and withdrawal from family life. When a person is always plugged in, it's hard to become free from pornography addiction. The National Day of Unplugging was recently created by the Sabbath Manifesto, whose mission is to encourage hyper-connected and frequently frantic people of all backgrounds to re-embrace moments and even days of rest from media. Its founders encourage people to shut down your computer, turn off your cell phone, stop the constant emailing, texting, tweeting, and Facebooking to take time to notice the world around you. Connect with loved ones. Nurture your health. Get outside. Find silence. Give back. Eat together. This kind of rest from digital overstimulus can be done by yourself or with others. One group called Unplug and Reconnect has the motto, love technology, love people more. Google chairman Eric Schmidt urges people to unplug at least 1 hour a day. Take 1 hour a day and turn that thing off. Take your eyes off that screen and look into the eyes of those around you. Have a conversation, a real conversation. The idea is simply to help people become more aware of our relationship with technology and create a relationship that reflects the balance of what we want. To make sure you are in control of your media consumption, you might want to try finding some regular unplug and reconnect time for you. Unplugging for a few hours and finding a special tech-free time of day when you can just enjoy a meal without interruptions, or focus on family or a friend. You can choose one electronic device to turn off for the day, such as your TV or computer. Find times when you can leave your phone behind, if only for short periods at a time. Like when you go to the gym or to the store or to church. Does this sound difficult? Well, don't let it be. This is about finding and striking a healthy balance and enjoying media in a healthy way. There's a lot of flexibility in how you do this. For someone struggling with a pornography addiction, it can be extremely important to limit the overall time spent watching TV, playing video games, and using computers for entertainment. As committed as you may feel to avoid certain sites, research studies have proven the more hours you spend browsing the internet alone, the more likely you are to continue your addiction. For the foreseeable future, until you are truly free, consider some courageous limits. Have you ever met someone who has never really had any obligations? Someone who just does whatever they feel like in the moment? You know, some people like living without any schedules, just kind of floating here and there, showing up for something if they remember. While this may work for some people, there are risks that come with living this way. One of the risks is that a lack of schedule and routine makes someone more vulnerable to addiction. When we are idle, we can fall into damaging habits. Not cool. A laid-back attitude appears cool on the surface, but an idle person is just opening the door for the next urge to come and tell them what to do. However, if you're preoccupied with more important things, urges to view pornography don't have much space in your schedule. Being actively involved in meaningful, productive things makes it easier for the brain to remain mentally and emotionally focused on healthy behaviors. Bottom line, how you structure your time can make a big difference in your ability to combat pornography addiction. Why would it make such a difference? All right, well, let's talk about it. First of all, nothing will bring you more satisfaction than staying productive. Your self-esteem will improve and you will feel more capable and accomplished. Work can be a powerful tool for any recovery and any life. People who get actively involved in learning, working, and serving others have a leg up on achieving a healthy lifestyle. All of this may be hard to understand at first, especially in the middle of this addiction. You might be wondering, why work toward anything when I can feel completely satisfied here next to my computer? Virgil Stucker, a psychologist who has spent his whole career helping people recover, said the following: "Every day, whether or not you are facing some kind of emotional challenge, you need to awaken into a world that you know needs you. You need to finish that day knowing that you have contributed. So no matter how ill you are, you need to get up knowing you can help." Well, what can you do to contribute? How can you be more productive and avoid being idle? If you have never really been into planning, how do you start? Do you have to go out and get an expensive planner? Well, not necessarily. The main point is to commit yourself to having some general structure, a schedule, a routine to your day. Here are a few ideas to consider. Make a to-do list in the morning and do your best to accomplish it before you go to bed. Use a calendar. Get involved in your school or community. Have somewhere to go and volunteer. Do what you say you're going to do. Be where you say you're going to be. Always be on time. Seek out opportunities to improve your talents and skills. Set a time to go to bed and stick to it. Get up earlier than you need to and do something that you wouldn't normally get done. Plan ahead. Now, if you're willing to do these things, The details of what constructive goals you can accomplish will work themselves out. So, are you willing? Trust us. It will pay off later. Now get to work. Okay, in the last video we talked about being productive and how filling your time with good activities can decrease your vulnerability for addiction. Now we want to talk about how being so busy and stressed out can lead to a similar outcome. What we hope for you is to find a balance between the two. When it comes to dealing with stressful situations, there are two conversations that are important to have, and both are connected to the addiction. Number one, the overall amount of stress in our lives. Number two, how we respond to that stress. Let's dive into number one. The reasons we are so stressed out are no mystery. Everywhere you look, there's another example of the speeding up of life, instant communication, obsessions with efficiency, and overly cramped schedules that pack in as much as possible. Our society's fast-paced lifestyle has been connected to all sorts of problems, from depression and anxiety to addiction. Here's the good news. There are ways to slow down the pace and manage the craziness of everyday life. Ways to simplify. Ways to not spread ourselves out too thin. The varieties of adjustments that can be made are endless, from small adjustments to major changes. Go ahead and take a good hard look at the amount of things on your plate that are causing you stress. As you decrease your stress level, you also strengthen yourself against addiction. This doesn't mean doing less, however. Sometimes stress, it comes from not doing enough of the activities that matter most. For instance, when you have an assignment from school or a responsibility at home, if you ignore that, even to relax, it will likely increase stress. Isn't that funny? Sometimes relaxing, the very thing we think will reduce stress, can actually increase stress, especially if we are neglecting responsibility. On the other hand, when you prioritize accomplishing important tasks, such as finding a job, improving a relationship, or taking care of something that needs to get done, even if all you can do is take small steps, you will feel the stress lighten. Having fun or playing can also help you reconnect with the best part of who you are and help you see yourself as a whole person again. It will also help you to connect with others, which makes building a support group much easier. Bottom line, if there are healthy ways to decrease stress in your life, take advantage of them. Easing those pressures can help decrease the intensity of urges. If we stop the conversation here, however, we miss the most exciting part, which brings us to our second topic, how we respond to stress. Have you ever met someone who is calm and chill, even when faced with tons of stress? Well, individuals who have developed the mental capacity not to shift into stress mode are much safer from the threat of addiction. How do you get there? Well, the skills you're already starting to practice from basic training are a good start. You know how we talked about stepping back and watching the urges swell and eventually subside? That same skill can be applied to other stressful things that happen, such as feeling frustrated or angry with your sister, getting behind on a big assignment in school, or feeling anxious because things aren't happening the way you want. It takes courage to do this, but it is the beginning of the end in your battle for freedom. When things start to feel a little crazy, remember this. As long as we're running away from the stressful things in our life, we're not only fighting a losing battle, but we are also feeding the addiction itself. This skill is just one of the many healthy ways to deal with stress. Here are a few more that others have found to be very helpful when dealing with stress. Number one, talk about it. Often the best way to handle a stressful situation is calmly discussing it with someone. Whether it's a parent or a friend, finding someone to talk with can help you see the situation for what it really is. Number two, laugh it off. I'm sure you've heard that laughter is the great healer to many stressful or difficult situations. There's an actual scientific explanation for this. Did you know that when you laugh, you increase the oxygen supply to your lungs, which stimulates the production of endorphins, a hormone that produces feelings of euphoria? In other words, it makes you feel good. Number three, exercise. Burning off steam when you're feeling stressed can do so many wonders for your life, not to mention the additional endorphins exercise releases in your brain. Check this out. According to research done at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, 20 to 30 minutes of exercise at least 3 times a week can lower a person's stress level. Number four, get real. Accept yourself for who you really are. Learn to manage your strengths and weaknesses. Stop putting yourself down for past mistakes. Learn from them, then put them behind you. Number 5, think positive. When life gets hard and things don't seem to be working out, it's easy to have a negative outlook on life. Choosing to adopt a good attitude and a positive perspective can be a huge help in keeping stress levels at bay. It's important to accept that life brings both sorrow and joy. Applying these skills can help you navigate, listen to, and learn from stressful moments. So take a deep breath and go out there, knowing that feelings of anxiety or stress, just like an urge, will pass. If you learn to manage your stress in a healthy way, you'll find that stress actually starts to decrease, and your ability to stay cool, calm, and collected in a difficult situation will increase. Well done. You just worked through different areas of your life that have shown in various research studies to set people up for addiction. More than simply training for an immediate battle, you are now laying the groundwork for a much broader recovery and a much deeper freedom. We're excited. You may not feel like you can leave pornography behind forever quite yet, but how about dedicating some extra care to how well you sleep or what you eat? What about your level of exercise? Or improving the relationships in your life? Even if you can't walk away from pornography yet, you can walk toward other changes in your life that can strengthen you. In a sense, every moment becomes a chance to move toward or away from this addiction. To this point, you've been developing your own personal battle strategy. You've made decisions about some things to adjust now and others to adjust later. With the skills you're gaining and practicing, you're becoming more and more prepared to face this and beat it. Ultimately, all this groundwork centers on making adjustments to help you realize your full potential. If you can begin to make these adjustments and you're serious about them, this addiction's days may be numbered because it can't withstand a truly healthy, vibrant life. Pornography addiction only survives in emotional darkness and emptiness. As you fill your life up with good stuff, it doesn't have a chance. From uplifting books, music, movies, hobbies, and activities, to more connection with friends and family and renewed spiritual practices, you have lots of options for positive and healthy ways to focus your time and energy. Filling your life with this kind of light will mean the darkness will have far less opportunity to bully you. Ultimately, this is about building a life that is so good that pornography becomes a nuisance rather than a temptation. Bottom line, rather than simply trying to resist pornography, creating healthy habits and embracing a life that is even better is the real secret to recovery. Hey, you're making great progress. You've just finished a very comprehensive look at your life. You probably saw some areas of your life that you felt confident and strong about. You also probably recognize areas of your life that were setting you up for addictive behaviors. Pinpointing those areas that need improvement is the first step in fixing the problem. Speaking of fixing the problem, how are you doing with tracking your battles? Are you using your battle tracker? If you just answered with a no, then you are missing out on an extremely powerful tool that will greatly increase your chances on reaching true recovery. If you have diligently been using your battle tracker, what patterns have you noticed? Is there a certain time of day that you most often struggle? Is there a theme to where you are when you have a setback? Have you been able to increase the time between setbacks? What changes have you implemented in your life due to what you have learned from your battle tracker? Again, gathering this information about your addiction can give you an advantage over the enemy. Over time, you will be able to recognize trends and patterns that lead you to using, and eventually, you'll be able to avoid using altogether.